3 children, and she's my youngest. So I've got an oldest 18, middle 17, and then Mia's 15.
And so, can it take me back to when Mia was born? When did you first become aware that there were issues that I suppose were going to really impact you the rest of your life from there on in?
Yeah, so I mean, busy mum with 2 younger ones, and then Mia the third. Really didn't notice anything, and then my husband said one day, "Oh, shouldn't she be sitting?" And it was around about 7.5 months, and I went, "Oh, yeah." So it sort of started from there, and just all her milestones were all behind. And then we started seeing doctors, and then had to see a special physio because she didn't walk to about 2 years old. And then she didn't really get diagnosed until about 3.5, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you went along and got advice sort of early in the piece. Why did it take the medical fraternity so long?
Yeah, it was funny because I was seeing the top specialists in Brisbane, and because she was female and she sort of had other traits that didn't go with like autism, and they just wanted to see how she went. Right. And we were going further behind in her behaviour, couldn't go out. It was just getting worse. So I saw a paediatrician here in Toowoomba. They said I have no hesitation of diagnosing her with autism. Then we could get help. And then we started seeing getting the right help, and then she was making progress.
In the meantime, though, that period where you knew there was some sort of issue, and her behaviour was getting out of control and couldn't take her out, were you madly Googling to see what it might be, or did you have any suspicions as to what it might be? What was that period like for you?
No, because you put your trust in these doctors, and you listen to them. Really breaks you down, and it's not until you get to that point and then you sort of start fighting for them, and you get the right people behind you, and then you start learning why she's doing these behaviours, and then so you're learning all the way, and then
absolutely. It's a pretty steep learning curve, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
When the diagnosis first came, did you initially know anything about autism and what that meant at all?
No, didn't know anything. Having 2 other kids, no problems there. Didn't know anything, but just her. We just knew we couldn't go out, couldn't do anything. I couldn't work. She wasn't close to us. There was that real disconnect. And we just, with the OT, just building those connections. So we just started with silly play, and it's amazing, the brain just doing that kind of work with her, just sort of turned on a switch and started having a different girl.
Before that, when you say you couldn't go out, so what were the characteristics of her behaviour that made it difficult?
Yeah, so we'd just say we went to a friend's place, had to drag her out of the car. She would just scream the whole time because it was just too much. We went to a party, just the noise. So my husband would take her away, thinking, it'd be okay, come back, she'd be okay for a minute. Just total meltdown, just crying, screaming. We'd have to go away, but that would impact her the rest of the afternoon, even into her sleep. So she wouldn't sleep. So it was really hard on her.
What does that do to you and your husband to see her like that?
Oh, it's awful, because all you want is, the best for your kids, them to be happy. And just for us, I didn't want to go out. You start to feel conscious of people staring at you. So it really does a number on you. Yeah.
What were your plans had everything gone smoothly as it did with your first 2 kids? Were you wanting to go back to work, or what were your plans?
Yeah, I would have gone back to work, because having 3 kids, you've got to have money coming from somewhere.
It's expensive business.
It is. Yeah.
Where did you work?
So I was a graphic artist at Snap Printing.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I was lucky I could do a little bit from home, doing the graphic art for myself. But it sort of just kept our heads above board.
Gotcha.
So we did that for 15 years.
Is it sort of confronting when you realise that, what you thought you were going to be able to do and the path that you thought the family was on to an extent was going to be different? How do you come to terms with that, and that you were going to spend a lot more time and energy caring for your daughter than you'd anticipated? Does that sort of hit you all of a sudden, or is that a gradual thing? Tell me about that process.
I think it is a gradual thing. You sort of don't realise that you're sort of falling down a bit of a hole. And then, as you do get better help, you sort of come out of that. You sort of don't realise until you're in a good place how low you were.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of, you say it was a gradual thing with Mia's condition improving, but how were things when the time came for her to go to school? Was she able to go to school full-time right from the word go?
Yeah, so, we were guided by other people. I did put her in mainstream school in a special unit, still going backwards. It didn't work for her. But same thing, didn't really know, put your faith in people. And then it got to a point, because she's still in nappies and things, she got too much for them. And then we went to Special West, and they were fantastic. So just getting the right...
Sorry, you're right. No worries, that's fine.
just getting the right help again.
Yep.
And they did a fantastic job too. So getting the right school was important for her, and getting the right providers around her.
That's brilliant.
Has been important as well. Yeah.
Did that change? I'm just interested in, because I guess how school goes impacts on how she is at home, which impacts on you and your husband as carers, be it part-time, full-time, whatever. Did it make a huge difference to her attitude to how difficult or easy it was to get her to go to school once you found the right mix and the right place?
Well, just to put a bit of background to it, so when she went to mainstream school, she would I'd have to always pick her up early. She would come home, she would strip off, sit on the couch and quite upset for a few hours. When we got the right school, the first day she went there, when she came back, she sat on the couch. She went through her books. I thought there was something wrong with her because she was so calm, no stripping, just happy reading books for 2 hours, slept that night.
Wow.
So that's...
That was the first day?
That was the first day.
Yeah. Gosh, you suddenly get an insight into, what contentment looks like, in a child and what discontent looks like, don't you?
And it's just different learning.
Yeah.
So once you... And that's another learning curve for me. Once I realised, she needs different things, different way of learning that suits all her needs. It worked.
Yeah,
so.
Isn't that brilliant? That's fantastic. In terms of when she was at school, was that a bit of a relief for you in terms of life going back to normal to an extent?
Definitely. A full day at school. I didn't get, phoned up, come and get her. It was great. So I was able to work more at home. I still didn't go back to work because, she's epileptic as well. So we would get a few calls and I'd have to go get her and things like that. But big difference. Happy for myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You feel a bit more normal.
And as you say, you don't recognise that until you start to feel normal again, then you realise how bad it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.